It's time to give you updates from the world of business. What's happening in your economy? That's what we do here on Business Incorporated. And here's what we have prepared for you. We start in Kenya, where inflation is up 4.1% in April. And Botswana may be cutting its spending for this year because of the slump in diamonds. Rwanda is targeting cuts in growth of storage capacity under the fuel levy. Welcome to the program. I'm Ini John Mekwa. This is Business Incorporated. We start from the global space as usual. Oil prices extended declines on Wednesday and were set for their largest monthly drop in almost 3.5 years as a global trade war erodes the outlook for fuel demand, while concerns of a mounting supply is also weighing on prices. Retracing some earlier losses, Brent crude fell 49 cents. That's about 0.8%. And for this afternoon, it's at $63, $63.76 a barrel, down 0.8%. WTI is also down almost the same percent at $60.02 a barrel. So far this month, we've seen Brent and WTI lose about 15% and 16% respectively. That's the biggest percentage drop since November 2021. Both benchmarks slumped after U.S. President Donald Trump's April 2nd announcement of tariff on all U.S. imports. They then sank further to 4-year lows as China responded with levies, stoking a trade war between the two top oil-consuming nations. Trump's tariffs have made it probable that the global economy will slip into recession this year. This is according to polls. Now, China's factory activity contracted at the fastest pace in 16 months in the month of April. And then gold prices dropped today, pressured by a firmer dollar and de-escalation in trade tensions between the U.S. and its trading partners, while investors are awaiting key U.S. data for cues on the Federal Reserve's rate output. So we look at the numbers for this afternoon. Spot gold is down 0.2%, $3,308.32 per ounce. U.S. gold futures also down 0.5%. $3,317.50 per ounce. The dollar edged 0.1% higher against the basket of currencies, making bullion more expensive for overseas buyers. There's been a minor recovery in the broad dollar strength, which led to a little bit of retracement in gold. This is the observation of marketers and traders. Spot silver is down 0.1%, $32.93 per ounce. Platinum down also 0.6%, $961.90 per ounce. And palladium down also, red markets all through, 0.3% to $931.84 per ounce. We come home to Nigeria now, where the telecom operators have ordered over $1 billion in network infrastructure from original equipment manufacturers in China to overhaul and upgrade the quality of service. This is according to the Nigerian Communications Commission. While the telecom equipment is yet to arrive or be cleared to be deployed in the country, the move signals a return to capital investment in the sector after a prolonged period of financial strain. The telcos, who serve more than 160 million subscribers nationwide, are increasing their investment to meet the demands of customers. And the Executive Vice Chairman of NCC, Mr. Aminu Maida, is telling industry leaders in Lagos as they meet for that NCC Act review and to upgrade the Nigerian Communications Act 2023 to align with current technological trends. Now, Odua Investment Company Limited, also known as OICL, a strategic investment that covers the southwest of Nigeria, is seeking closer ties with participating states in the region. They made a visit to the governor of Osun State to ask for expansion of their businesses and more collaboration with the people in the state in other areas of businesses.
Managing Director.
We are here today, sir, to reaffirm our strong partnership with the government and the people of Osun State and to seek deeper collaboration in two critical areas: the vital both our states and the regional development agenda, mining and agriculture. In the mining, Your Excellency, Odua Investment is strategically positioned to unlock the vast solid mineral potentials within Osun State. However, to actualize our planned investments, we require the gracious intervention of Your Excellency in facilitating access to mining licenses, consents, and the necessary government support. We believe that with your backing, we can catalyze responsible mining operations that will not only generate significant revenue for the state, but also create meaningful employment opportunities for our people while ensuring strict adherence to environmental and social standards.
There is no doubt that the Odua Group is modernizing and expanding with multiple opportunities for our states. I commend the board and the management for their efficiency. Our administration will study and review potential areas of investment and participation. We will take necessary action for Osun to take her rightful place in terms of equity participation, among others.
In corporate now, MTN Nigeria's results for the first quarter of 2025 shows a $202.4 billion was spent to expand network infrastructure and quality of service. The company says that this is already recording early wins as it reports a $133.7 billion in profits after tax for the first quarter, reversing a $392.7 billion loss in the same period last year. It also grew its subscriber base to 84.1 billion and its active data users to 50.3 million. That's up 13%. There's also service revenue, which surged by 40.5% year-on-year to 1.06 trillion naira, powered by increased demand for digital services and connectivity. MTN Nigeria unaudited results quarter for the period ended March 31, 2025 shows subscribers up 8.2% to 84.1 million, active data users up 13% to 50.3 million. EBITDA also increased by 65.9% to 492.7 billion naira. Profit after tax 133.7 billion from 392.7 billion year-on-year. Earnings per share is at 6 naira 38 kobo. Still in the corporates, one of Nigeria's leading financial institutions, Zenith Bank PLC, has held the 34th annual general meeting and the first for its new group managing director and chief executive officer, Mr. Dara Umeoji, the first woman to lead the bank. The meeting brought together shareholders and key stakeholders to review the bank's performance for the 2024 financial year, with a total dividend of 5 naira per share declared to shareholders. The bank reaffirms its position as a leader in Nigeria's financial services sector.
It's a milestone moment at Zenith Bank PLC, the 34th annual general meeting and the first under the leadership of its current managing director and chief executive officer, Adora Umoji, the first woman to hold the position in the bank's history. Despite a challenging macroeconomic environment, Zenith Bank delivered a solid performance in 2024, reinforcing its reputation as one of Nigeria's most resilient financial institutions.
I want to thank you so much.
The numbers paint a clear picture of growth. Gross earnings rose by 86.38% to 3.9 trillion naira, while profit before tax climbed 66.7% to 1.33 trillion naira, and profit after tax reached 1.03 trillion naira, a 52.59% increase from the previous year. In her first address to shareholders, The GMD CEO thanks them for their trust and support, touching a key highlight that always gets their attention: the dividend payout.
Under my leadership, Zenith Bank is committed and will continue to meet your expectations and we will exceed it. We have always increased the dividend we've paid over the years, and we are going to continue to do that. We have finalized our recapitalization exercise, and we have 160% subscription as we speak. We are committed to grow our top lines organically while adhering to strict corporate governance culture to create more value for our esteemed shareholders. And we want to assure you you're going to get a quantum leap dividend.
A final dividend of 4 naira per share is approved, bringing the total dividend for the 2024 financial year to 5 naira per share, following an earlier interim dividend of 1 naira.
They've been nice to the shareholders. At least we rely on them by getting our dividend every year. And they have new improvements on their banking system.
I'm highly impressed for the fact that this is the first time Zenith will be paying 5 naira. That 5 naira translated to a whole lot of things for me because I have huge volume there. So if I will be getting my dividend this year, I think I should know what I will use the dividend for.
Looking ahead, Zenith Bank says it's focused on leveraging strategic investments, innovation, and a strong risk management framework to unlock new opportunities and sustain growth across the financial ecosystem.
Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria raised a total of 804.85 billion naira at its open market operations. That's the OMO auction that was held on Monday, as investors continue to show strong appetite for high-yield securities amid persisting excess liquidity in the financial system and elevated inflation expectations. The auction attracted a total subscription worth 1.057 trillion naira, representing a 111% oversubscription. Although strong, the demand was slightly lower than the previous auction held on April 25, where the CBN raised 1.008 trillion naira from 1.391 trillion naira in subscription after offering the two 500 billion naira bills. In the latest auction, the CBN offered two long tenure instruments, 329-day and 350-day bills, each at 250 billion naira. The results reveal a sharp contrast in investor demand between both maturities, with investors overwhelmingly favoring the longer 350-day paper in their bid to lock in higher returns for a longer duration, signaling continued confidence in Nigeria's foreign debts and expectations of sustained high interest rates. And with that, we get into the markets now. We will see a sustained negative sentiment at the NGX. This afternoon, we see that the market has retained the 105,000 level after losing the 106,000 yesterday. So it's intraday, it's 105,799.50 after it lost 0.12%. For Johannesburg, it's on the flip side, retaining the 91,000 level is at 91,896.19, gains 0.64. Egypt is also positive, 0.16% in the green at 32,091.01. For Nairobi, it's positive. It closed positive for Tuesday, still on the 125 level for Kenya, and that's for Kenya, Nairobi. And then moving over to other markets, at this time we see in the Middle East is a mixed bag, but mostly green. At intraday, Dubai is green 0.02%, 5,242.52. Abu Dhabi is also green 0.2%. at 9,547.08. Saudi Arabia is the only one in the red. The lone loser at intraday lost more than 0.5%, 0.59%, and Qatar brings it back up 1.30% in the green at 10,459.88. Let's go to the United States and see what the Dow is doing this afternoon, morning for them. These are the features. So we see Dow in the red, 0.09%. S&P also in the red, and Nasdaq in the red. The Dow, I think, at this time yesterday had a bit of recovery, but we see that profit taking is also on the features in the United States, and major indexes closed higher on Tuesday yesterday after Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told journalists that the White House was close to announcing a trade deal, but didn't name the country. Of course, a lot of people will look the way of China, but we'll see. We don't know which country will come up about this. But let's look a few hours back and see how yesterday, that's Tuesday, closed at the stock exchange in the United States. Oh, looks like we don't have Maria there. Well, let's move to Asia and see what's happening in Asia. The Nikkei is positive this afternoon, 0.51% at 36,045.38. The Kospi is on the flip side, 0.34%, 2,556.61. The Hang Seng is 0.5% in the green, 22,119.41. Shanghai is negative, while Nifty is slightly down, almost ignorable at this time, 0.01% at 24,334.20. The Bank of Japan kickstarts its policy meeting today and is widely expected to hold rates at 0.5% when the meeting ends tomorrow, Thursday. Investors are also looking at a slew of key economic data in the region. Australia's first quarter inflation showed an increase of 2.4% compared to the same period last year. And China's manufacturing activity, we told you that earlier today, fell more than expected to a near two-year low, obviously because of the tariffs. And President Donald Trump has said that tariff negotiations with India are coming along great, and he believes that the U.S. will strike a deal with the South Asian country. Also speaking at the White House, Mr. Scott Bessent said that the administration also held substantial talks with Japan over a possible trade deal, and the contours of a deal with South Korea could be coming together. These are friends of China, so it's a tricky one, but we will see how it goes at the end of the day. All right, let's take a break now. When we come back, it's still on President Trump and the tariffs. That will be the conversation with our Berlin colleagues, but that's after the break. Just stay with us here on Business Incorporated. You're welcome back. You're still watching Business Incorporated right here on Channels Television. So there's an urgent need for improved partnership and more deliberate policies that recognize and empower high-quality local manufacturers in Nigeria. This was the main thrust at a press conference that was held in Lagos to address critical issues surrounding local content inclusion, challenges faced by Nigerian manufacturers, and policy interventions needed to ensure that Nigeria's renewable energy investment also promotes domestic industrial growth. The managing director of the Rural Electrification Agency, Mr. Abba Aliyu, was speaking after touring the LPV technologies, disclosed that Nigeria's renewable energy sector is expanding despite global headwinds.
The LPV is the first integrated, vertically reintegrated renewable energy service company that has invested in the manufacturing, invested in the implementation, and also invested in talent, building talent pipeline in the country. This is something that the country requires. This is something that is in line with the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President, where we need to enhance the country's gross domestic product by deliberately investing and localizing some of this value chain within the country. This is Nigeria to the world. This is ensuring that we have in Nigeria products that can compete globally. And I'm saying this on record that the product being produced by this local company, LPV, here in Lagos, Ikotun, is a product that can compete internationally with any international company. and they have what it takes to address or to contribute to addressing the electricity access challenge in the country. I'm very happy to be a Nigerian, seeing this kind of investment being done by Nigerians, and I look forward to continuous collaboration between Rural Electrification Agency and the LPV.
And of the LPV
what the federal
technologies.
government.
For the chairman of LPV Technologies, the visit is a testament to the company's world-class production facilities, stringent controls, and premium-grade raw materials.
The beauty about solar, I always say to people, having had some background in the power sector, is that it can be deployed literally anywhere without the concerns of transmission and distribution, as it were. You can go to the remotest village in Bayelsa or in Maiduguri and deploy a mini grid there and give people light. People often wonder, when people say that, what's the biggest challenge in Africa, especially in a country like Nigeria? Sometimes you hear people talk about corruption. And I often laugh, and I say to people that, well, corruption did not stop the likes of Burna Boy and Wizkid from excelling in what they do. What the biggest challenge is in this country, to my mind, is energy security, the availability of power. And that's what we have set up to try to address. Because with the cost of diesel and the effect on the environment, we feel that if we are able to provide alternatives, then people can, affordable alternatives, working with multilateral agencies and our financial sector, and especially our partner here in the Rural Electrification Agency, we think that we can make our own little mark in the sector.
Now, Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC has reported an increased turnover of 51% to 665.6 billion naira for the year ended December 31, 2024, as against a corresponding figure of 441.5 billion recorded in the same period in 2023. This was part of the revelation given during the 19th annual general meeting that was held in Lagos. The global economy in 2024 was marked by significant headwinds. Nevertheless, Dangote Sugar stood firm as one of the largest sugar refineries in sub-Saharan Africa and a leading player in Nigerian sugar industry. It boasts of a combined installed refining capacity of 1.49 million tons per annum.
We appreciate the positive stride that the company has achieved.
The company has done very well. They are doing a lot of expansion, and the profitability is enormous, and the price of the share has gone up. And we believe this year is going to be very good for the company, because Alhaji Aliko Dangote, the chairman of the company, has promised that this company will make Nigeria self-sufficient in sugar production.
The financials for the year show a group turnover of 665.6 billion naira. That's a 51% increase over the 441.5 billion in the corresponding period in 2023. Loss before tax of 271 billion naira, loss after tax at 193 billion naira, and operating profit of 12.6 billion naira for the year 2024. Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC highlights steps taken to reduce cost and improve company's performance.
We are doing is interest cost reduction. As we have seen that the present interest cost is very, very high, 30% to 33% charged by the banks. We are resorting to the various means. Particularly, we are also looking at the group support in terms of the equity infusion, and also going to the cheaper sources of the finances so that we can reduce our interest cost.
We are highly focused on returning your company, Dangote Sugar Refinery, to profitability. We are ramping up our production so that we can get more volume.
2025 marks a major milestone of 25 years of excellence in the Nigerian sugar industry. And to celebrate the achievement, the company says it is expanding and introducing a new 25-kilogram package to meet production.
We are expanding our BIP. We are now 3,800 CCD. So by end of 2025, God's willing, we are going to be 9,000 TCD. And we are commissioning our new power plant, which is 32.5 megawatts.
The company has completed 25 years as of now, and we are one of the leading BIP investors. We have created so much of BIP capacity that in near future we'll be able to cater significant sugar for Nigeria and making it self-sufficient. So that stands out Dangote Sugar from the rest of the industries.
Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC has expressed its commitment to build a sustainable business through sugar backward integration project by driving robust economic impact with a production target of 1.5 million metric tons of refined sugar annually, among other benefits that will be maximized on the sugar production value chain. In Kenya, inflation rate rose to 4.1% in April, and that's up from 3.6% in March, marking the highest increase since September 2024. According to a report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the 0.5% jump was driven mainly by higher prices of food and non-alcoholic beverages. Prices of food and non-alcoholic beverages rose 0.4%, while transport costs increased by 0.5%. Housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fields recorded 0.3% increase. These categories, which account for over 57% of total household expenditures across the 13 major categories, heavily influence the overall inflation rate. Among key food items is Irish potatoes saw a 4% increase, while loose maize grain and fortified maize flour went up 2.9% and 2.6% respectively. The housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fields index also rose by 0.3%, driven by electricity price increases for both 50 kilowatts and 200 kilowatts. Consumers 3.8% and 3.4% respectively assigned to those. The gas and LPG, which went up by 0.3%, and then transport sector saw a 0.5% rise, which according to the report was mainly attributed to higher country bus fares during the Easter holiday season. Still in Kenya now, the government has plans to review the Copyright Act to protect creators from piracy and intellectual property theft. The Principal Secretary, State Department for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy, Fikirini Jacobs, said the government will introduce a creative economy bill which aims at protecting originality and promoting the intellectual property rights of Kenyan artists. The bill is expected to complement existing copyright framework by targeting the unique challenges within the creative and arts industries. Among its provisions in the new bill are better recognition of creators, protection of proprietary ideas, and frameworks for nurturing and mentoring young talents. Botswana is intent on cutting spending to offset the effect of a prolonged downturn in the diamond market that's led it to raise its budget deficit forecast to post-COVID peaks. This is according to the finance minister. Botswana, which is the world's largest diamond producer by value, relies on the precious stones for most of its exports and about a third of its fiscal revenue. A slump in demand for the gems extending back the second half of 2023 has negatively impacted the economy. It's drained savings, leading the government to revise its budget deficit forecast to 9% of gross domestic product for the year through March 2025 and cause GDP to contract 3% in 2024. Meanwhile, Rwanda is set to expand its national petroleum storage capacity from 66.4 million litres to 334 million litres following a revised fuel levy in a bid to strengthen the country's fuel security. The development is contained in a new bill introducing a 15% fuel levy to finance the construction of advanced storage facilities across the country. The bill replaces the current fixed charge of 115 per litre of fuel with a percentage-based levy calculated on the cost, insurance and freight value of petroleum and diesel import. Under the plans, the government is targeting at least 3 months of fuel and petroleum reserves, up from the current 1 month capacity. An explanatory note of the bill shared with the New Times also shows that this is supposed to begin by April 29. The current government-owned reserves hold approximately 66.4 million litres, covering only 1 month of national consumption. Egypt is set to launch a unified online licensing platform next month, offering 389 services to investors as part of a broader push to streamline bureaucracy and drive private sector growth, investments and foreign trade. This is according to the Minister, Hassan El-Khatib. Minister El-Khatib said that the digital platform aims to simplify regulatory processes, enhance transparency, and reduce friction for local and foreign investors. The move comes as Egypt ramps up efforts to double its GDP and raise export to $145 billion annually by 2030. The government is also accelerating economic reforms across the monetary, fiscal, and trade policy to attract capital and spur production. These include a shift towards a more flexible monetary framework to contain inflation and efforts to lighten the regulatory burden on investors, and also plans to cut customs clearance times from 14 days to just 2 days. Zimbabwe is expecting approximately 2.2 million tons of maize for the 2024-2025 agricultural season. This is the 4th highest yield in the country's history. Information and Publicity of Broadcasting Services, Mr. Jenfan Musiwere, said the rebound came after a challenging 2023-2024 El Nino-induced drought, which marred by prolonged dry spells and late rainfall across several provinces. The 2024-2025 surge is largely attributed to improved rainfall distribution and the continued adoption of conservation farming practices that's been adopted. Now, let's go to Berlin now, where Chip is joining us to talk about some of the ease that President Trump has introduced or reintroduced in the trade tariff talk. Hey, at last, welcome to the program. Well, Trump softened the blow of his auto tariffs through an executive order by mixing credits with relief from other levies on parts and materials. So tell us, how is this conversation catching on with European car makers right there?
Well, thanks for having me, Ini. The plan by the U.S. government will reduce tariffs for automakers by not charging them for other duties, such as the ones on steel and aluminum imports into the U.S. And auto manufacturers won't have to pay as high tariffs when assembling cars in the United States with foreign-made parts. Now, of course, this is in response to the fact that the auto industry and analysts said that the tariffs could raise consumer prices, reduce sales, and make auto manufacturing in the United States less competitive. Now, of course, it is worth noting that this relief measure was, of course, announced during the U.S. president's visit to Michigan, which is a state which relies heavily on the auto industry. But of course, it is also welcome news for European car makers as well, Ini.
So what is changing in all of this? How will the changes affect car makers?
Well, this move actually benefits U.S. car makers more than it does foreign ones, and that is in particular the ones that assemble vehicles in the United States with foreign-made auto parts. And on top of that, the changes are also retroactive, and that means that car makers that have already paid the tariffs that went into effect earlier will be reimbursed for those costs. But the additional time that will also allow car makers to shift their production and rejig their supply chains to allow them to move manufacturing manufacturing to the United States. Now, obviously, some European car makers may also be breathing a sigh of relief, especially if they do assemble a significant amount of vehicles in the U.S. But those with more assembly plants, say in Canada and Mexico, are not set to benefit as much. And one of the most vulnerable companies in that group is Germany's Volkswagen. Only 1 in 5 of its vehicles sold in the U.S. is assembled in the country. So that is, of course, going to be a challenge for Volkswagen. And we do know that Volkswagen's, profit, year-on-year profit in the first quarter plunged more than 40%. So it does have a challenging time going forward. And he did mention that it's going to affect its financial guidance for the rest of the year. The fact that there are those tariffs, they're still an issue for European car makers. So there is some welcome news, but they're not, they're not out of trouble, let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, obviously, because I did see that story earlier today that car makers in Europe are dumping the guidance that they had set because of a lot of these uncertainties. But you talked about how Volkswagen is doing in the market. Let's look at other players in the market. How are they doing in the European market at this time?
Oh, European shares are actually trading higher. The pan-European Euro Stock 600 is actually trading 0.3%. At least it was a few moments ago, higher. And Germany's blue chip index, also the DAX, is around 0.6% higher. Now, that is, of course, despite those lackluster earnings from the car makers. Also, Mercedes has reported a drop in its year-on-year profit for the first quarter. So those stocks, Mercedes and Volkswagen, are actually down 1% or slightly more than 1%. Now, European markets do look like they're set for another day of gains, and that is, of course, ahead of the public holiday tomorrow. And however, they are on track for a second monthly drop because, of course, tomorrow we begin a new month. The Euro Stock 600 has only managed to recover half of its losses since its plunge of around 80% from record highs earlier this month, and that was, of course, after U.S. President tariffs, the U.S. President's tariffs spooked markets by sparking, of course, fears of a global recession. However, there is some good news on the economic front in the Eurozone, where the economy grew 0.4% in the first quarter of this year, and that was more than expected, Ini.
Yeah, more than expected, but at least let's hope President Trump will not take away all of that. But thank you so much, Chip, and I hope we'll talk to you tomorrow, even though it's a public holiday.
I will be working despite the fact that it is Labor Day tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Now, just a bit building on that, talking about manufacturing there, when we're talking about cars, we don't have a very active sector of that. In Nigeria, I guess that's what the UK's Manufacturing Africa program hopes to achieve. They sign a strategic deal with London-based investment firm TLG Capital to help Nigerian manufacturers access funding and grow their businesses. Through the partnership, Manufacturing Africa is set to support companies in Nigeria with due diligence, ESG compliance, and operations support. As part of the agreement, TLG Capital confirmed a first close of $75 million for its Africa Growth Impact Fund 2, backed by the IFC and other global partners. The fund aims to reach $200 million.
Look, one of the key things that the government has talked about and that policymakers in Nigeria have always talked about is removing the reliance on oil and gas and trying to make Nigeria a more broad-based economic powerhouse. And so if you want that, you need manufacturing. And not having that broad-based manufacturing output that is what drove the South Asian tigers, the Southeast Asian tigers, etc., is something that I think Nigeria needs to really work on. And I think this is what Manufacturing Africa and TLG are coming together today to try and help. This is not a one-stop-all solution. This is not a one-size-fits-all solution. But again, I think by combining the structuring expertise, the financial flexibility, and the operational excellence that Manufacturing Africa can bring to the table, you're giving a solution to SMEs that have hitherto not had that ability to do so.
Well, still around the UK has published drafts rules to regulate the cryptocurrency industry, aiming to strengthen consumer protection and crack down on people they call bad actors. UK Finance Minister Richard Reeves said the move is part of plans to make the country a global leader in digital assets. The new rules will bring crypto exchanges and agents under strict oversight, requiring them to follow standards on transparency and customer safety, operational strength, much like traditional finance firms. Mr. Reeves also says that UK is deepening its cooperation with the US to support responsible crypto growth, calling international collaboration key to staying ahead in the fast-evolving digital space. Well, that is a leading story in the crypto space at this time. And there are others also from that space. So that's the stable coin market. The broader crypto market enjoyed steady gains last week. The stable coin sector expanded notably, contributing additional $4.58 billion to fiat-linked crypto ecosystem. The stablecoin economy holds a valuation of $239.1 billion, requiring additional $892 million to surpass the $240 billion threshold. And the stablecoin sector expanded by 1.96, almost 2% this week. It's measured since April 20, 2025. One of the other stories there, crypto tokens with ties to artificial intelligence. They are making a resurgence as Bitcoin helps drive a broader crypto market resurgence after recovering from a local low of 75,000 and topping 95,000 in recent days. I think in a couple of minutes we'll see what the price is at this time. Multiple niche AI categories have jumped more than 40% in the last week. This is according to CoinGecko, and that surge has been led by individual tokens like Agent Launchpad, virtual protocols, virtual AI agent protocols, which have jumped 123% and 89% respectively to 1.43 and 0.298 respectively. So those are the majors happening in the crypto space. Let's take a short break now. When we come back, we'll dwell still on the crypto space. To stay with us. You're welcome back. It's still Business Incorporated, and we're discussing crypto now with Chimezie Chuta, Chairman, National Blockchain Policy Steering Committee. Hi, Chimezie. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good day. Always a pleasure joining you.
Great. So I don't know if you've gone through this UK crypto rules. I mean, getting the UK accepting it like this should certainly mean a big deal. And I think the analyst I spoke to yesterday had said this all started because of the attention President Trump is giving to crypto. I don't know if you agree with that and what you think about the UK rules.
Yeah, so it's exciting to see the merging of opinions across all jurisdictions when it comes to the need to properly regulate and bring crypto into mainstream finance. And what the UK Finance Minister Rachel Reeves says is that it's part of a more elaborate plan to make the country a global leader in digital assets. So every country wants to be a global leader. US wants to be a global crypto. In fact, US wants to be the world center for crypto. UK wants to be a global leader. Now, Nigeria has an opportunity to be the African leader for crypto. And I see us doing that because the stage is set. We have policy, we have regulations, we have legislature. So I think we are set for this industry in the next few years.
So what does this mean? I know in the midst of all, the trade chaos that's been going on, we saw gold surging, but a lot of people have thought by now crypto would be the hedge. Do you see this placing crypto in this position?
Basically, you have to understand the game that stock markets play and how crypto market is. Crypto is a liquid market, while stock is more of synthetic, so to speak. So when it comes to when money drains in crypto, it's actual money that drains in crypto. Okay, but in stock, yes, money drains, but also it's not as rapid as you have in crypto. So when there is a comeback like this, crypto gradually makes that move back, because definitely people are going to be taking more care because of the risk that is associated with crypto. Is high risk, and of course it's high gain. So you expect investment managers, people who are managing huge funds, who move the market, to be able to make these decisions gradually and not jump in when the signals for a clear direction of the market is not yet defined.
So, I mean, I think what you're saying is we see these regulations winning confidence, but the fact that digital assets are high risks, that is still a factor that a lot of individuals would consider in making investment decisions.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you have to understand that the real movers of the market are right now institutions, because they are the high volume part of the market. So retail traders make up a smaller part of the global crypto space itself. So when you are talking about real market movement in the positive direction, you have to consider how investment managers analyze the market. They are not just technical issues that they look at. They look at the fundamentals, because a major fundamental error can wipe out someone's investment. So it's important that you get the fundamentals right, not just to be moved by the technicals that you see on the charts. The fundamentals is really what drives positive market change, when the fundamentals are properly put in place. And for now, I believe that every fund manager, every institutional is studying the fundamentals that surround the crypto space, and they're all getting ready for the next big move. Remember, I said one time in one of our interviews here that Trump gave a 90 days window of no tariff, and let's see what's going to happen. That is not sufficient for institutional investors to go all the way into the market. So I think it's proper that you manage your risk properly and value the protection of your asset above the profit that you are targeting.
Yeah, and I guess manage your expectations too as you're managing your risk amidst all of this. Well, you mentioned the fundamentals. We saw the new ISA law in Nigeria, exciting. But, I mean, the noise seems to have died down. I don't know, maybe you could tell me there are things going on there. Any changes that we could see pushing these fundamentals forward, to give more confidence in the crypto space?
Okay, so last week or so, the Securities and Exchange Commission DG, Dr. Timi Agama, held a stakeholder engagement with the FinTech Association of Nigeria, and it was well attended by a whole lot of participants in the industry. I think well over 400 people turned in for that event. It was virtual. So we are beginning to see people asking the right questions. Because when you have the ISA law passed, yes, a lot of people want to understand on a deep level how it affects their investment decisions. So things like this, it's definitely going to take time. But just like in football, when the whistle is blown, then every player knows that the game has started. So it now depends on you to probably save time in trying to use the first few minutes to understudy your opponent before you bring out your game. But definitely, we're going to see the real game in the next few months.
All right, to be looking forward to the real game. But what do you see happening in the markets? A bit of calm now, as you said earlier. We're counting down to the 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariff. Seems like President Trump is softening a bit in some areas about the tariff. What do you see in the next couple of days happening to crypto?
Well, the truth is that nothing is given in terms of certainty when it comes to the market. And even those who make these news, those who drive these fundamentals, some of them also have been accused of so it's very difficult for someone to clearly say, okay, this is what we are going to see. But as far as I'm concerned, the market still has a lot of directional pathway to follow. We're going to see the price of Bitcoin trade within this range of 96 and maybe 92 for another 2 weeks or so before we can either break up on the upside or we go down on the downside, depending on how the market responds to the news that are coming out from either the US policy, the war, peace efforts in Ukraine and Russia, and the rate cuts that are being expected to be official in the US. So I think without giving anybody undue financial advice, we have a lot to watch in the next few weeks.
Yeah, we'll certainly watch, and hopefully President Trump will not give us another surprise in the next couple of days. Thank you so much, Ms. Chuta, Chairman, National Blockchain Policy Steering Committee. Thank you for your time and your views.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right, so that's it on the program. Thank you so much for being a part of Business Incorporated today. Tomorrow is May Day. It's Workers' Day. I wonder what will happen. We'll see. But I'll see you tonight for the stock market report. I'm Ini John McWadu. Take care.